I've been taking landscape photographs for about 37 years now in total, all the way from the film days to the current incredible digital era. And along the way, I have learnt a few things the hard way, and I'm sharing them with you so you don't have to learn them the hard way. Hopefully, these tips will be of use. First tip is for anyone that wants to capture some amazing scenes at sunrise or sunset. And my tip is simply this: don't pack up too soon. When you get a good sunset, it's highly likely that the colour is going to carry on for some considerable time after sunset. In fact, if you look at the photo over my shoulder here, that was taken a full hour and 5 minutes after sunset. Because the light levels are so low, it's possible to shoot really long exposures, and consequently you get these beautiful buttery smooth colours in your images. So stick it on the tripod, obviously, and set it for a nice long exposure, 30 seconds plus, and see what you come up with. And my second tip, a lesson that was quite costly to me in the past, is don't walk around with your camera on the tripod. Now, I'm sure you've seen more than a few videos of photographers doing this, where they're walking from one location to another with their camera tripod on the shoulder and the camera still attached to it. And I found out the hard way that this is not a very good idea. There are loads of scenarios that can and probably will happen if you do this. The first scenario that might unfold, and this is one that's actually happened to me, is that you discover that actually you hadn't tightened the tripod up fully. The camera is not sitted as securely as you thought it was to the tripod itself by means of the plate underneath the camera. And as you're walking along, it becomes dislodged and the whole thing falls to the ground. I had that happen to me when I was walking across a car park at one of the local beaches here, and I got up quite lightly actually. It smashed a lens. It was a nice prime, but it took the lens but not the camera. Consequently, whenever I'm moving anywhere now, I take the camera off and I either put it on a strap over my shoulder or I put it back in the bag. And then when I get to where I'm going, I put it back on. The second problem that might happen is that you lose your footing, and because you're holding this incredibly bulky object, the tripod and the camera, it's really difficult to protect the equipment as you're falling to the ground. On most modern camera and tripod systems, it only takes a second to attach the camera to the tripod, and so you've really got nothing to lose by securing your equipment and moving it safely. My next tip is to always keep a reserve SD card somewhere about your person or in your camera bag or in your car. Now, there are many scenarios in which this can be an absolute lifesaver. I've lost count of the number of times I've taken the cards out of the camera to process the images in Lightroom and forgotten to put them back in the camera. And the next day I'll get up maybe early for sunrise, head down to the beach, fire up the camera, look at the back and think, oh God, no SD card. The day may also come where you suffer from corrupt memory card problems, and that's when you'll be really glad that you kept that hidden spare secured somewhere about your person or in your car. My next tip is simply this: no shot is worth losing all your gear over. And again, this one comes from hard experience. The scenario in my case was that I was down on some rocks on the coast, photographing the waves crashing down on the rocks during a beautiful sunrise here in East Coast Australia, and I was waiting for the perfect wave, and there was lovely waves coming in, but I sat there and I thought I just need a slightly better one to come in, and I saw this big wave coming in, and I knew, I guess deep down, that it was probably a bit too big, but I wanted the shot. And so I stayed there and I sat there and I waited, and I got showered with water. The wave broke over my head. It went all over my camera equipment, and it ruined some of my equipment. Didn't break the camera, fortunately, but the lens was completely ruined because it wasn't weatherproof. The next lesson that I learned the hard way is with regard to resilience when it comes to your photography. And what I have to say on this is that you pay for the good shots with the bad ones. And what I mean by that is that landscape photography in particular is as much about the missed opportunities as it is about the ones that come through for you. And when you do get that absolutely incredible shot, the keeper, the one you know as soon as you see it on the back of the camera that it's going to be one of your 5-star photos, you've paid for that, you've earned it through all the crappy situations you've been in, the crappy sunrises and sunsets, the awful cloudy days, the days when it didn't work out. You pay for those good ones with the bad ones. My next tip is a slightly more esoteric one, and it's simply this: try not to be envious of other photographers' work. Again, I know this is difficult when you're trying to make a name for yourself and somebody is out there and they keep hitting home runs, and maybe you regard their images as being superior to yours, but being envious of them and maybe being resentful of them will get you absolutely nowhere. For quite a long time, when social media photo sharing first began about sort of 10 years ago, I was consumed by envy of these amazing photographers whose work I was seeing, and it was really discouraging for me. I didn't think I could ever sort of match up to their work, and the truth is maybe I never could, but the envy didn't get me anywhere. It just made me feel very negative about my photography. It put a real downer on it for quite a long time, and then one day I just decided to, as the song goes, just let it go. Now, we all have those shots that get away from us, the ones that could have been but weren't. And another lesson that I've learned the hard way is that you can't save a photo by turning it into black and white. I see this quite a lot, people sharing photos and they've converted it to black and white because there was some central problem with the image. And 9 times out of 10, converting it to monochrome, usually quite badly, they're usually quite bad conversions to black and white, won't make a blind bit of difference. It's now just a bad photo in black and white. So if you have taken a photo or the one that got away, just chalk it up to experience and move on. My next tip is simply about enthusiasm and the way sometimes we try and reinstill our vigor and enthusiasm for photography. And on this subject, I will simply say that acquiring new equipment rarely fixes the problem. I know quite a few photographers down the years who've tried to reinvigorate their interest in photography by buying a new camera, getting some expensive new lenses, and I have to say it hardly ever works. Usually the reasons why you've lost interest in photography are a bit more deep-seated than a simple lack of interest in the equipment that you've become to know so well. So instead of getting the old credit card out and buying yourself some expensive new equipment, maybe try something else. Maybe mix things up with the kind of photographs you're taking. Try a different style of photography. If you're a landscape photographer, maybe try street photography. There's all sorts of avenues and interests in this very broad church of photography. And my last tip is simply this, that 5 minutes of planning before you get to a location can save you a huge amount of heartache when you actually get there. As photographers, we have a huge number of incredible tools at our disposal these days, so make use of them. Get on Google Earth, check out the satellite views of locations. You can check the sight lines of where the sun rises and sets and how shadows are cast by mountains and all sorts of cool stuff. So use it to your benefit, save yourself some time and hassle and use all these tools, and then when you get to the actual location you stand a far greater chance of getting that shot. And that concludes this little video. I hope my hard-learned lessons are of use to you in your photography. If you've enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Please hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you've really liked it, please subscribe for more videos like this coming your way really soon. Thanks, guys. Anything else all right in that shot? Yeah, I'd just like to share. Issue? Drama? Oh, God. With most modern... Fuck off! They be of use to you. Channel, what the fuck are you doing, you not?